Thomas Demand is known for his photography works, creating one-to-one models and omitting certain details, focusing only on the shape and color of the objects in order to create a sense of familiarity without cluttering his work. He chooses to destroy the models after photographing them to challenge people's idea of time, reality, and memories, so the audience is looking at a scene familiar to them, yet knowing at the same time that it no longer exists. In one of Demand's works, he chooses to present his photographs at the CTA Business Club in Sydney, Australia, describing the architecture as a time capsule from 1974 and removed from reality. He uses the architecture as his wall and is able to place viewers within a place frozen in time through his photographs and the setting. He also further challenges the idea of the past by using analog film to capture his models, which, in his words, captures reality as it is compared to the conventional inkjet printer used currently. And also the fact that there's only a handful of people in the world able to make these prints due to the dying market makes his work a little more special.
My artist is Stan Douglas, who focuses on the historical reconstruction and reenactments in his artwork while also putting his own twist on them. A common theme seen in his works is the merging of two worlds, ideas, times, cultures, where he combines two familiar things and makes them exist at the same time, giving for a fresh new experience. Some prominent examples of this can be seen in his works such as Blackout, Aluda Continua, Doppelganger, and Helen Lawrence. In Blackout, we see Douglas merge the aftermath of two instances in which there have been blackouts in New York City, such as the one in 1977 as well as the one in 2003. Through this, he imagines a scenario of what a blackout in New York City will look like in the near future, calling these times a state of exception, where normalcy is turned upside down. In Helen Lawrence, Stan Douglas incorporates multiple medias to allow for the audience to experience what looks like a play in real time and a finished movie simultaneously. And this idea of moments in time or places being experienced simultaneously by the audience is a great representation of the real world, as we tend to focus on one event at a time rather than seeing things as a whole and find how one may affect the other.
I'm Kirito, and today I'm going to introduce Dina Lawson. Diana Lawson is an American photographer, and her work is primarily concerned with intimacy, family, spirituality, sexuality, and black aesthetics. She creates images that are rooted in a moment from the tangible world, but ultimately exist in the shimmering in-between space of dream memories and spiritual communion. One of my favorite picture from Lawson is Roxy and Recoil. This picture shows twin sister knees in the center of the bed, facing away from each other. If you pay carefully attention to carpeting and richly meaningful domestic interiors, Lawson has accentuated those twins in a conversation with a series of double objects: two white curtains hanging in front of two windows, two black lamps sit on matching glass-topped tables on either side of the bed. And she also captured one of the paradox of twinning, as nothing is a mirror image of those double. The two scopes in the world are off center. And thank you for listening.
From publishing her first piece of work untitled AE, which consists of a series of black and white photographs, to collaborating with high-end fashion brands including Louis Vuitton and Balenciaga, Cindy Sherman has made a name for herself by embodying various roles and characters through the power of art. Cindy Sherman uses photography to present an illusion of the subject along with their atmosphere, environment, and world in which they live in. Sherman's subjects of characters are often grounded by the exploration of stereotypes of how femininity is represented, as well as the representation of females and female figures in popular culture. Sherman's expression of art was inspired and motivated by her passion for experimenting with individual identities. She explains, "I wish I could treat every day as Halloween and get dressed up and go out into the world as some eccentric character." Through the composition of photographic techniques such as unconventional and strange props, color, uncommon camera angles, and the emplacement of the artist herself in these photos rather than models serves to capture the essence of the identity in which Cindy Sherman attempts to convey and embody through the expression of her art.
Today I'll be showcasing Carrie Mae Weems' Kitchen series. So the first thing that captured my attention about this series would be the way she presented her work to her audience. There's a great conscious of space and structural order to her presentation of both images, physical arrangement, and composition. The idea of order can be seen throughout this series as we take a closer look to the photograph's specific arrangement and location. The principal location of this series would be the kitchen, as the kitchen presents a response to the gender roles and social structure. As Weem explains that the space of the kitchen domestically historically belonged to women, the audience that she directs the series to would be women, as women can relate and see themselves as part of these images she presents. With that being said, there's a very theatrical and interactive sense to the kitchen series. The kitchen in these images can be seen as a stage, and the subjects that interact with the kitchen can be seen as props. These two factors in the series participate in redefining the relationship between the manipulation of space. As Wing bridges the performative media of her work as being she directs it and being an actor in these images, she reunites the idea of the relationship between space and the subject to the audience.
Something else like I feel like we all have in common is like our artists creating a scene, kind of like even with like Andy's like the short films, capturing something in like a more literal way, like but maybe like Doritos is like like capturing kind of like the struggles of the Black community.
Yeah, there's also like this topic of like creating a scene, how like most of our artists create the scene, kind of like physically think about it and like rearrange things for it to create a scene, and how like the viewer kind of like renders this in their mind. And this also brings in the idea of like perspective.
Kind of like found with a short film, like even though it is a film, each scene could act like it is its own image, like just its own picture. Um, just because there's like always like two side by side scenes together that play at the same time, but each thing has like different things occurring. And so like that in itself is kind of um like you said, like making a scene like with that, even though it's like a movie, but just that can also be seen with like his other works where it looks like it's a movie, but it's really not. It's just a still image.
Like for Dina also, like she used like some of like interior design, like interior like decoration, like to create some kind of things. Like in her work, like it not look very strange, but if you like just look at like the single like the interior decoration, it may looks kind of weird, but like she combines the people and the environments like very well together.